Welcome back to Corpus Cinema Control, the channel where we talk about experimental film, art house cinema, silent film. Well, haven't gotten into much silent film yet, but video oddities, video art, etc., etc. It's been a while, but back with a boom with this film, and I hope to be pronouncing this director's name right. This film is called Passion, and it came out in 1990, and it's directed by Jürgen REBLE. Jurgenreble. Jürgen? I don't know. That's for Google to decide. Alright. And what an epic, insane spectacle this film is. Full of extreme, haunting images. It feels as though the entire life and death cycle and the entire birth and death of the universe is in this film, and all of time is encompassed in this film. That's how it feels. I mean, it does feel that epic and that sort of timeless in a way. Like, this came out in 1990, but if you said that this was somehow dug up from a time capsule from the year, thousands of years before cameras were even invented, I'd be like, alright, yeah, I can see that. From what I understand, this is a film made sort of like a diary film depicting the director's journey during when his unborn child is being formed in the womb and then being born, as we definitely see. A lot of this film has to do with the disintegrated image. Like, quite clearly, the footage has been manipulated through editing. Not editing, goddamn. Through processing, through chemical whatnot, wizardry this guy was doing, to totally erode the image, disintegrate it, destroy it. I mean, there are shots that would seem like not necessarily happy, but full of life or something like this. Like, obviously some footage, some stock footage of fish and whatnot, probably extracted from old documentary films shown in classrooms. But whatever he's done to it, disintegrated the image, makes it so haunting and so scary and disturbing. I mean, the one that comes to mind is this fish that's swimming in a loop over and over. And this one's a little less disintegrated. You can see what's going on. But this fish that's spinning in a loop over and over, and this is the second main thing that comes up during the film, is sort of repetition and loops, I feel. I don't know. Like, instead of showing birth and the birth of the child, I'm sure this guy thinks it's beautiful and whatnot and loves his child, but instead of showing that side of it, it's more like, look at this extreme, harsh, cold world this child is being born into, and how degraded we are, and how degraded the world is, or how dangerous the world is, things like this. How it's always teeming with life, you know. disintegration of these images, the little edges and holes and pockets of light and shadow that are created are always teeming and moving around and bristling and like it's alive, like what it actually reminds me of is how many babies and women died during childbirth from like germs, this invisible world, all these little things like germs bustling about trying to kill you. And I don't know, again, just making the world a harsh, cold place to live in. Just this visual, or at least my interpretation of it, at least this visual representation of that is so haunting and terrifying, but at the same time just fully has me. I can't look away from it. It's so beautiful as well as haunting at the same time. Anywho, but the looping, back to the point, the looping goes along with this disintegration, like humans or nature or whatnot all exists on this looping, this turning, revolving, how the earth revolves, the seasons, etc., something that is beyond us, right? And how it's sort of a scary, vicious cycle for this fish, and for, I don't know, us and babies and everything, this vicious loop of nature. And of course that goes into the food cycle and whatnot, and how all animals hunt and kill other animals, so, and the plants, of course. But yeah, very I don't know, it just is a depiction of an extremely dark world that we live in. Examples of images in the film that work towards this are like that image of the birth of the baby coming out, an image of like a blooming flower, which is quite gorgeous. A lot of this looks like documentary footage, and this close-up image of this teeming, you can't really tell what it is at first, but it slowly zooms out, and you see that's maggots inside of the mouth of a rotting animal corpse. And all these sort of things working together obviously builds up this incredibly vivid portrait of just life to death all together. And how the body is undergoing degradation as soon as it's born, and even before it's born, possibly. We do see these stunning images of this, what I believe is this fetus. The quality on YouTube is not too good, but this fetus that is spinning, probably via special effects, right? But this fetus that is spinning, but the image is so chemically altered and destroyed that's like, you can barely tell what you're looking at, but it's just like the little particles are thrashing all over the place. I've never in my life seen such a violent depiction of an infant, or whatever you call it when it's still in the womb. The word escapes me now, but you get the idea. A fetus, there we go. Never in my life have I seen such a violent and haunting depiction of a fetus, and how scary life is. And boom, boom, boom. Going along with how scary life is how powerful and extreme life is, and how, okay, so in the beginning we see sort of volcanic eruption, which can kind of be I guess a relation to coming out of a penis, just life and explosion of life, explosion of particles, just massive amounts of power and energy and etc. And we get images like this all throughout, like massive scale. And this, alongside the childbirth, is sort of showing, or poetically showing, how powerful life is, how much of a miracle in the darkness of the cosmos life is, and how, I don't know, just cosmically bizarre and extreme it is, and that it, it's this powerful force, this energy that is somehow poking through the extreme coldness of the cosmos, space, and somehow exists. And the visuals of this volcanic eruption, or even later we see these this shot of the side of a rocket where this ice, I believe, or some sort of metal maybe is falling off of it, and there's all this fire and smoke, and again it's just like a visual representation of this. So it's like this child is born in fire, born in destructive forces, and all life requires destruction. Now, the montage of the film and the rhythm is sort of elongated, is very long. I'll say slow. It's kind of slow. It takes its time. It's patient. But the editing is very careful and precise. And timed. I don't want to just say timed very well. I mean, it is, but like there's clearly a logic to when it cuts. I mean, as all films should be, but I guess these days, what can you say? Montage means nothing now in 2023. But there is an extreme attentiveness to when the shots cut to another shot. Anyway, you get the idea. Because I was watching it back on 2x speed, because I watched it a while ago and I wanted to talk about it, but never got the chance till now. I was watching it back on 2x speed, and it looked like the speed of a normal experimental film that we'd see now. But it was just like, wow, the montage that seems sort of random at first cuts on times that are perfect. Everything's just a lot slower in the full version that is not sped up, and you really get a sense of how certain shots are sped up and slowed down to create this rhythm of like a heartbeat, or a slow heartbeat, a slow pump of veins in life, something like this, a pump of energy, like one can imagine, maybe a more earthy person can imagine a pump of life through, or a heartbeat in Mother Earth or something like this, right? A heartbeat in all of nature. Now that has nothing to do with the editing, but it's all the rhythm together, I wish I wrote some examples of the cutting, but if you watch it, try not to passively take it in as some sort of extended montage, these shots do really seem to cut into each other for specific reasons, to create a visual poetry. A la Eisenstein. Although, of course, they were doing different things, but... And, of course, this is gonna touch my heart. But, we have the big, the massive, and we have the tiny. We have the explosion, volcanic eruption, etc., etc. We have huge, vast cityscape, tunnels, etc. Huge. And at the same time, we can focus on the small. We focus on the little fish and the little cells and the teeming little particles and all this, And it's all connected. It's all the fabric of the universe and of energy. And, I just enjoy that that's a quality I like about the film. That it can get specific, and I think that, of course, has to do with the subject matter of a fetus in the womb and it being born. It's so small in the face of everything, but it's all connected. Okay, and a couple beautiful images just to point out that I think are interesting that I wrote down here. There's a scene shot what looks like down a tunnel, and people are walking back and forth down the tunnel, but superimposed is these elephants walking this way across the frame. Well, I guess for you it might be this way. But it really is a moment where you can feel all of time and space is sort of compressed into this image in a poetic and beautiful way. Just the slow churning of the elephants along the bottom of the frame with the sped up motion of the humans about their daily routine, and how we're just a fast blip in this whole thing that these elephants are sort of representing, this whole massive time scale that these elephants are representing. It's just a gorgeous, haunting image. And again, the color and the harsh contrast of it, and the buzzing edges of everything, the degradation, the whole thing just seems incredibly cold and depressed and violent and powerful. So another one would be, again, that fetus image, and the fetus really feels like it's burning. Life is burning to get out through the celluloid. The fetus is is light, and light is life and energy. And it's tearing at the edges of the darkness in the celluloid. It's stunning and powerful, and you can tell, I mean, you know, at least in this shot, you can tell that the maker loves life or thinks it's gorgeous, you know, I don't know, and worth it, etc., etc. And a miracle. Alright, and to move things along here, we finally get to the epilogue, which is, comes out of nowhere. I mean, most of this stuff is obviously found footage, but the epilogue is definitely not. At least I don't think so. And it looks like he filmed it himself. But, man, it looks like this guy is doing a sort of seance, ritual sort of thing, in this dark room. Images are projected onto his body. Yeah, well, it is as bizarre as it is haunting and gorgeous. You know, it's sort of unclear as to whether this figure is the director or the father, right? Or the child itself being born, you know, and the reason that I point towards that direction is that the guy's nude. He is sort of waking up, and he has the images projected onto his body, flashing over and over. It's like the world immediately attacking him or projecting onto him. There's a lot. Yeah, I mean, that's all, you know, it's in those words, being projected onto him, imprinting on his body, right? And then, ultimately, he exits the room through this black hole, which I guess would be like the exiting the womb, right? And being born. That's how I see it. And then we get this final shot of this rushing river that I don't think is too degraded, right? Which is just an amazing shot to end on, because it has the restraint to not be so dramatic and to be more subtle and more sort of what's the word? Sublime, right? And it's just the rushing river of time, of life, of energy. It's so simple, and it, like, everything is contained in this image, and it fills the whole screen. And, you know, it's the infinity of everything, and the power too, right? And the energy, you know, this water over time, of course, smooths the rocks, you know, cuts lines and rivers through landscapes. It's just, what an amazing image to end on. And it totally blew me away. I mean, wow, the restraint to do that, you know, as opposed to whatever, like the birth shot, or even the volcano, you know, something like that, you know, which would have been like, wow, crazy ending, right? But this is so much more beautiful and poetic, I'd say. Just my opinion. And there is a life-affirming moment here in the final images where we do see, I'm pretty sure the birth comes in the final images, but we also see the face of the baby in the final images, and it's got a look on its face like it's smiling. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it seems like a life-affirming moment, you know, in the face of all this darkness, routine, depression, I mean, yeah. And the baby smiling image is not too degraded either. So, just seems like a life-affirming moment. And then one brief thing before I leave us off is that I must say, with the intertitles and whatnot, there is this weird feeling that I guess comes with, a lot of experimental films, but that there is this fourth wall breaking sort of thing where we can really tell we're watching a film object, that we're watching a screen and manipulated footage. And this really comes through with the intertitles that aren't really degraded at all, I don't believe. They're pretty simple and straightforward. Now, they're fuzzy. They're fuzzy and they have their edgy quality to them, but they are undeniably much clearer and more coherent and whatnot than they're like intertitles. They're more coherent, they're clearer than the actual images that are extremely degraded and whatnot. So there's this odd sort of feeling of watching film that has intentionally been manipulated, as opposed to something that's been dug up out of time, which is, I don't care either way. It's just an interesting thing about it that I thought I must bring up. A sort of odd break in what do you call it? Break in continuity, sort of thing. Which goes along with how the music sort of cuts out during those moments. It cuts in and out during the film, and how certain sound bites play over and over. The soundtrack is at times haunting, at times kind of funny, like kind of cheesy or corny, but I mean, it's always cool nonetheless. It's one of those things that sort of breaks continuity, which is, doesn't really matter to me. I prefer to know I'm watching a film object as opposed to being strung along, but that's all I have to say about that. Anywho, you can find this film on YouTube. Oh, I keep yawning. I'll leave a link in the description. Haunting, gorgeous, very powerful first viewing experience, I'd say, for me personally. Highly recommend it. Passion, Jürgen REBLE, 1990. Alright. Oh, and I make films too. Check them out on my other YouTube channel. Just look up my name, Connor Parsley, or connorparsley.com. Alright. See you in the next video.